Hello everyone and welcome to NFT Insights. I'm kicking off a new series on NFT blue chips. In this series, I want to go into the story of the game changer NFTs, how they start and where they're heading. I'm Kazal, researcher at NFT Go, and this is the first episode of Blue Chips. So, I think Bored Ape Yacht Club is one of those projects that it's just important to talk about. BAYC is barely 1 year old, but its influence has been massive inside and especially outside of crypto. So, to kick things off, let's start with a bit of background and history. And I'm saying history here, but literally, this isn't even 1 year old. So, on early summer of 2021, five or so artists created the attributes, the hats, the eyes, the glasses, and all of the other stuff. And then, as is popular among most, if not all, NFT projects, they were randomly generated and became the apes we know of today. The people behind this project was a company called Yoga Labs. This company is managed by a guy named Gordon Goner and his partners, which were all working 9 to 5 before BAYC. But as crypto suggests, all of these people are pseudo-anonymous. And the founder has actually told Rolling Stone, quote, "My name is not even Gordon. Gordon Goner just sounded like Joey Raymond. And that made it sound like I was in a band called Goners. I thought that was effing cool." But when I first started, I kept asking, are we the Beastie Boys of NFTs? Because right after our initial success, it felt like the Beastie Boys going on tour with Madonna. Everyone was like, who the F are these kids? So, just going back to BAYC, we haven't even talked about the mint yet. Crazy stories from auctions to collectors' attention to this new shiny NFT. There were a lot of people that frankly said that this thing was overpriced. Let's just look into the numbers, and I'm gonna pull up this chart from NFT Go. So basically, the average price has gone from zero point 0.1 ETH to more than 124 ETH. So let's just go through the numbers. This is a 1,239% growth, which is totally nuts. So the mint started out with 0.08 ETH initial price. And in the Rolling Stones article, which I'll link in the show notes, they also talked to Emperor Tomato Ketchup, another pseudo-anonymous person from Yoga Labs. While talking about the mint period, he said, things were moving so slowly in that week-long pre-sale. I think we made something between 30K and 60K in total in sales. And then overnight, it exploded. All of us were like, oh F, this is real now. So why did this happen? From ICOs to NFT drops, at the end of the day, valuations skyrocket, either because of some sort of clear incentive, or in some cases just because of a meme spread. Though it can be sometimes both, but we're not really going to go into it. So let's talk incentives. There are a couple of things that BAYC really pioneered in this space. And if you're new to NFTs, it's worth mentioning that almost all of the things you see out there were not obvious in the old days. People really didn't used to do incentives per se in the NFT space. A few out there like CryptoKitties and CryptoPunks were just JPEGs and probably some sort of private group, but nothing too special because it wasn't even that serious. But then BAYC came. So the founder told Rolling Stone, quote, we'd see these NFT collections that didn't have any utility. That didn't make any sense to me at the time because you can cryptographically verify who owns this NFTs. Why wouldn't you offer some sort of utility? So, how are they a game changer in the NFT market? Well, they introduced the concept of IP and ownership over your NFT. Basically, what that means is that the owner of the NFT owns the copyright to that NFT. Now, you might say, like, duh, isn't this the case for all the NFTs out there? Well, not all of them. I think while we're in the topic of IP and ownership, it's worth mentioning some of the copyright associated with NFTs. So, copyright protection of digitally native assets has always been difficult because we can easily copy and paste everything, right? However, the problem is that when it comes to the money of these things and NFTs become actually valuable JPEGs, we kind of have to decide who really owns this thing. And people have different opinions about this, but at the end of the day, even though you can accurately track the transaction records to verify the authenticity of an NFT on the blockchain, but it's kind of vague how you can just use the NFT in real life. Are you going to use it for sort of like a brand if this gets famous? Do you have the right to, I don't know, change the way that the NFT looks? How much ownership do you have over this NFT? So this was something that very early on CryptoKitties actually tackled with, and Dapper Labs, who created this CryptoKitties collection, actually came up with a copyright template that was followed by a lot of other NFT projects after them, like CryptoPunks and other things. So this thing was called an NFT license, and it's kind of like a general rule that kind of says how much ownership the owner has over the NFT, which is kind of nuts because, yeah, we're thinking decentralization and all of that, but then there's the people who created the NFT that are like, no, 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 you can't do some things with this thing, and we're gonna keep you accountable for them. So these are the things that the NFT license mentions. So NFT holders shall not arbitrarily change the artistic image of the NFT they hold and shall not use it for commercial marketing or the production of third-party products, shall not associate with improper images, and shall not register trademarks or acquire other intellectual property rights. So this is kind of like the thing that's most NFT projects have been following, even CryptoPunks. But then BAYC came and kind of disrupted this whole thing. So unlike all the other projects before them, BAYC actually gave all the business rights to the holders. So although Yoga Labs didn't actually profit from these various business practices of the holders, but they actually encouraged and promoted the development of copyright openness. So this means that they are in the camp of we should give this IP to anyone who actually owns the NFT. So I think this is a pretty smart move because in the area of us transitioning to the metaverse and the talks about digital ownership and property rights in the metaverse, it's pretty crucial to have copyright ownership over your NFTs. Otherwise, how is that different from a traditional artwork? What does make NFTs different is literally the fact that you can actually own this thing. And when the copyrights come along, it's just not really favorable, and I think not very aligned with the Web3 ethos. Now transitioning to another crypto native incentive which was present and still is to some degree in DeFi. Let's talk drops. This is not only a game changer for the owners because obviously they get free money, but it's also a pretty decent mental model to consider as we're transitioning to Web3. It's sort of like a win-win for both sides and it's never been explored before Web3. People ask, like, what is this thing all about? And let's just tell them to give us an example of the creator of a brand actively producing, literally dropping streams of income to these holders for free. It's like saying that Nike is giving 10% of their revenue to everyone who's got their shoe. So, BAYC has now about 6,255 unique holders, and these people have mostly gotten airdrops for free that have made a lot of profits for them. And from the BAYC umbrella brand, of course, we have mutant apes. But even before that, there was this dog collection, and the dog NFTs are now at about 10 ETH to even 50 ETH. Pretty good deal, I think, from 0 to 10. Decent. For MAYC, so the story goes that you get a serum, and then this serum converts to a mutant ape, which its traits are identical to your Bored Ape. Now they had 3 different rarity ranks and were distributed randomly, and 6 of the holders were airdropped a mega serum, which is the god of all the MAYC in rarity. So this was the first 10,000 MAYC supply, and the other 10,000 was being sold in the market for 3 ETH. And whoever got the serums entered the club. Now ignoring the 2.92 ETH price difference between the first public sale and this one, I bet we all know that by now BAYC is already a gigantic brand in the NFT space. So collectors are actually willing to ape in quickly. And this becomes even more obvious when we think about the trade-off that these new buyers made. The serums actually decreased in price as time went on. But if you waited, the collection might have already been sold out, and frankly, you'll never get a mutant ape. And literally, no new buyer waited for this NFT to lower in price, and all of them just bought it as soon as they could in 3 ETH. Now, there was a total of 30k ETH in revenue from the serum public sale. So, what can the core team do with this money? Everything, basically. They even got a yacht, a physical yacht, and invited everyone. And also, they invited some of the OG music rock bands to a party they threw during NFT NYC. So BAYC also released their Roadmap 2.0, which includes metaverse and also real life stuff, like a mobile game, Meta City on Sandbox, a real club in Miami, and this project is well beyond the scope of all the NFT projects I've seen out there. Now, let's talk metrics. How does this project stand out among all the other competitors like CryptoPunks, Doodles, etc.? The BAYC holders are holding on to their ape. Here we can see this graph of NFT holding periods by the current holder, and more than half of the people are holding their NFTs. This is despite all the rising price and the huge liquidity this project has. This makes me think of the intrinsic value of these NFTs. They're not just tradable JPEGs now. Some people have built identities and brands with these things. Let's look into some profit metrics here. So, here are the addresses who made the largest profit in BAYC. Let's look into some profit metrics here. So, these are the addresses who made the largest profits in BAYC. And you can look into profits as sort of like what's the difference between market valuation and the initial buy price. So here you can see that the first place has made 32 million in profits for just spending 65K. Now, 65K is still a lot for NFTs, but who's mad at a 50K% profit? All the other profits are kind of in the same range, like whoever has the most got the largest piece of the pie. All the profits are kind of in the same range, like all the profits are kind of in the same ratio, like whoever has more gets the largest piece of the pie. So all in all, very profitable for some. So as I said in the beginning, BAYC is one of those NFT collections that has touched even outside of crypto. A lot of celebrities have bought this NFT, and this is beyond anyone's imagination, I think, because we're all like, well, this is gonna take a while, and this Web3 thing is not gonna kick off any sooner. The tech isn't ready, gas is high, UX, and all of the other stuff. And to some extent, they're right, but NFTs have accelerated Web3 adoption in a way we've never seen before. Even inside crypto, BAYC was first to some of the things in the space. Their position with the copyrights was totally different from the other projects. Its value is now showing up because people are willing to spend thousands of dollars to own a membership of this club. Thanks for bearing with me till the end. I hope to see you in the next episode of the Blue Chip series. If you enjoyed this first episode of the series, be sure to subscribe to NFT Insights on YouTube or Spotify. I want to hear from you. DM me on Twitter at _KazalSN. That's _QAZALSN. All the subsequent resources for this episode are in the show notes. Thank you for your time.